Hey, what's going on, Jake? So this is the first live episode, except it's not live because YouTube won't let me go live. Because I clicked the go live button and it says, yo, you gotta wait 24 hours. And I'm like, I've been on YouTube since 2007 and I didn't know that. So there we go.
Well, we love YouTube. We want you to promote our video and give us lots of ad revenue and such. And
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, guys, we actually just real quick before we start, we had some audio problems with a few episodes before, so that's why it's been a little while since we've uploaded. And I just want to go into this one. You guys you don't even know these recs because these recommendations came from an episode that is not published and will probably never be published. So yeah, this one's gonna seem a little random, but that's okay. So we got some beautiful movies for you today. So we got Grave Encounters, The Shining, Vivarium, and Stay Alive. So I think we're going to start off with Grave Encounters. And so if you're watching this and you're part of the movie, hello. If I was part of this movie, I would have searched it. Like I'd be searching this movie, sorting by new, and be like, this is the one movie that I was in, and I'm going to watch a bunch of content around it. So welcome.
yes, welcome. Welcome all 20 cast members listening.
Yeah,
Um,
we're not
so
gonna
yeah,
be
this
able to
was
edit
this
out like the awkward stuff. I'm like super nervous about this. So before we get going, what are you drinking? What are you drinking today?
um I'm having a gin and tonic because that's all we have left in the house.
Mm. Gin and
It's
tonic's
not
not bad.
bad.
You know,
Yeah,
um,
it's
I,
I didn't used to like it, but this one's not bad.
I'm trash, and me and Tasha invented a mixed drink that I like. It is like I use zero sugar sody pops because I don't like the sugars, and so it's like a key lime pie drink. So it's like zero sugar Mountain Dew and whipped vodka, and it tastes like key lime
Hmm.
pie, and it's actually really good.
Yeah, that actually sounds nice.
Yeah, it is
I
nice.
mean, without all the caffeine, I would probably do the caffeine free zero. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's beside the point.
yeah, I don't like caffeine, dude. One thing before we start, so I went to Starbucks at Target yesterday, and I ordered a caffeine-free pumpkin spice latte. Is that possible? Because they said yeah, that's fine, and I ordered it, and then my like an hour later, my chest was like tightening, and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think that was caffeine-free. And then yesterday I was up till like 6 o'clock in the morning. And so I know it wasn't caffeine free. So I just ordered a decaf one, and then they just didn't give me decaf. And I know you worked at Starbucks at one point, so that's why I'm wondering.
I mean, there is decaf espresso. I never personally did this, but it is known that sometimes some employees would get annoyed when people would order decaf, and they would purposely give them caffeine or like vice versa. Or if somebody was really rude, they would give them decaf.
I was
Um,
not rude, I swear.
no, I'm not saying you were.
I
I'm
was just
just
like, hey, I was literally just asked. I was like, hey, can I get that in decaf? Is that possible? And she was like, yeah, you can get decaf. And I'm like, sweet, pumpkin spice decaf. They're like,
it
sweet.
could also it's either all in your head
But then it was
or
done. It was done in like 30 seconds. Like, it was done. Like, I stepped to the side, and it was like on the counter. Like, by the time I walked over there.
it could also be the employee just forgot to hit decaf because maybe one out of every 1,000 people orders decaf.
She was on autopilot. But I was so salty at 6 a.m. last night that I left a 1-star review. It was just like somebody just disliked this video, like Starbucks is life, and they just disliked.
Starbucks pulled out as well, maybe if we keep saying Starbucks over and over, they'll throw a Starbucks ad on our video.
No, not after that. Not after that roaring testimonial I just gave them. That's like ruled out, man. It's like Apple. They're probably like Apple for coffee, and like you talk shit about them, you're not getting no sponsory dollary dues. But okay, sorry. So this is the type of
Tangent
crap.
aside.
Yeah, this is the type of crap I normally cut out. So you guys get all the crap with the podcast. All right, so Grave Encounters. I'm gonna do my summary really quick. I'm excited to talk to you about this one. So yeah, Grave Encounters is a found footage film. It's kind of like Paranormal Activity, but it's like the premise of the show, instead of like a couple being in a house, it's more like a ghost hunter show. The reason I say it's kind of like Paranormal Activity is just because it cuts between a bunch of different angles. So it's really not like Paranormal Activity, but I don't know. I just want you to be able to put it in the right mental box.
It's
So
like the steady security cam
yeah,
type of.
yeah.
Oh, I won't interrupt you. Sorry.
So yeah, no, that's okay. So the premise is like a movie within a movie within a movie, almost to where like the movie is a supposedly a real movie. Like that's the way that they set it up, where it's them editing together footage of a ghost hunter, team who is shooting a show within the movie. So it's like a movie within a show or whatever. So yeah, so they go into this like old abandoned mental asylum, and some shit starts happening to them, and they can't find their way out. It's doing that trippy thing to where they bust down the exit door, and it's not the exit anymore. So like it's almost like a nonsensical barrier, of them leaving, so they can't leave the asylum, and it's an obvious like metaphor for the people who were actually in the asylums, back then. And there's also this like really cool thematic monologue at the end. I'm gonna go ahead and jump to the end because that's really the whole plot that I just described. There's this really cool thematic monologue where the guy's like he's acting as if this is real, and the camera's on him, and he does this moment that almost gives me chills a little bit. I know this is like, well, a lot of people would consider this like kind of a crappy movie. I love it, but spoiler alert. But he says that like, basically you are literally watching me right now have a mental breakdown. Like, screw you for watching this. For watching this movie, and it was almost like a commentary on our desires to watch horror movies. Like, we have a horror movie podcast here, we watch these atrocities, and I saw that once before in later on in Cabin in the Woods. There was this moment where it was almost doing a meta commentary around maybe watching it makes it real, right? So maybe like when you watch a taped movie, like there's sentient beings that are like in the screen or whatever, but whatever.
That's some sinister shit right there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what did you think? I've been talking for like 5 minutes straight. What did you think about this movie, Jake?
I liked it. I mean, my expectations were low just because I'm not a huge found footage fan. Like, I think really my only experience with found footage is Blair Witch, and I guess Paranormal Activity is technically that. But I was pleasantly surprised. I think like the first act of the movie, where it's just kind of the setup, it has such good satire of like that ghost hunting genre.
Yes.
Like, I love,
because it's not trying to be within it. It's like making fun of it. It's like self-aware.
Right. Yeah, like like, it was honestly such a funny joke when I think we had talked about it a little bit before, but when they pay off the gardener, like they're like, have you seen any? He's trying to record for the show, and he's like, I want to ask this landscaper if he's ever seen any ghosts, and the guy's like, no, what are you talking about? I don't believe in ghosts. And then they turn the cameras off, but it's still rolling because it's found footage.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, how about $20? And then it just smash cuts to like the gardener, like, yeah, the ghosts scary. They're everywhere.
Yeah, and it's like the worst acting ever, intentionally.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That was hysterical. I loved that, and just like how the host was just kind of a dick, like not like a dick, but he was very like, it's clear that he didn't actually care about like the subject matter, and it was all an act for. Well, it was an act for everybody, obviously. No, but
I disagree. The main guy, I think he wanted to capture ghosts. Look, obviously he knew he had to make a show, so he was going to fake it. He paid the gardener, but like he was the one when shit started to actually happen that thought it was important to film it. So I think he did care, and he wanted he wanted to find ghosts. He just knew that he couldn't continue to pursue that if he didn't like get some fake ghost footage.
Yeah, and the guy that played like the psychic medium or whatever, he was funny too because
yes! Did I oversell that?
Yeah, and I liked the reveal of that because they don't tell you that he's an actor that playing that character until like 40 minutes into the movie when shit starts getting real. So they set it up like this guy is serious, and then I think it's I don't remember exactly when, but it was like later on after you've known the character for a while that you find out that because I think he said something like I'm supposed to be at an audition right now
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was like he had this like look on his face to where you could like he totally looked like the guy that they always use that's like the spirit sensitive guy in the ghost
Right.
shows. Like he had this look on his face about it that it was completely accurate to those shows. And those shows that still exist now that came out after
Right.
this movie did, like Ghost Files and shit. Like it's funny to see that in this movie and then this movie actually pull off some pretty cool fake scares to try to like make it look like it's a real found footage movie.
Right.
They did their best to do that on the budget that they have. When you look at the budget of this movie, it's so low compared to what they achieved with it. Like I tried to make movies in this genre for years. Like this is like a lot of what I used to do when I like just as a hobby when I did like stuff because like found footage is not only is it easy, but like I just like the genre. I have, and this is a spoiler for like my review section, but I have a bias for these types of movies. So like if mine is like higher than like movies that shouldn't be, that's why, because I see these and they're inspirational to me because I see it and I'm like if if I was good enough I could make this. Like there's not I couldn't make if I wanted to, which I don't, but I couldn't make like the Avengers. Like there's like an independent filmmaker can't do that. But anybody could have made this movie if they just
Yeah.
learned how to use the effects and like use the camera. Like we all have phones and shit. Like anybody could make this, and I think that's inspirational. I love that about it.
Yeah, like I said, I like the satire and the most of the scares worked really well. My only kind of like not gripe, but the thing that I didn't like about the movie was it escalated weird. Like I liked when they first got there, the at first it was like the wheelchair moved a little bit and then the door slammed and then the girl's hair got moved.
Yeah, like
But then
that's
it
one of my favorite moments. The hair thing.
Yeah, like I liked the slow build there, but then it went straight to like the demon girl in the corner, and it's like it was just such a big jump because like they went to the demon girl, and then they went kind of went back a step, and it was like I think one of the guys got like pushed down the stairs, and I'm like, no, you've already shown the ghost, like you can't go back to that now. Like it was just,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
it
like
was kind of moving the intensity meter around a little bit.
right, it was like they were trying to do like a slow build up to like from like just objects moving to like a full on ghost running at you, but they were just like going back and forth.
Yeah.
And it was that was the only thing I thought was weird pacing wise.
When
Was
I
just
when I saw this
or-
movie in 2014, I remember using this meme with my friends because it was the cool meme at the time. But it was like the well that escalated quickly thing from Anchorman. That describes that moment of this movie because it's like,
Yeah.
well, that escalated quickly,
right. Which and like there were some good scares, like pretty much everything we talked about, like the door slamming with the wheelchair and like the girl in the corner of the room that had the bathtub in it the first time they revealed that. And the best scare was it was towards the end of the movie where like the guy they're walking in the room and then he looks down and there's like a tongue on the ground and then you just see this blood drip and the camera pans up and there's
Yeah.
that like that
That one
ghost
got me. Yeah.
that one and the one like later on when they're like trying to hide or they're trying to go down the elevator shaft I think and he turns around and then that same ghost just runs straight at the camera.
Yeah.
That was a good scare.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. I don't like purposeless jump scares. Like if it's just during a regular part and somebody just like slams like a pizza down or something and it's like a jump scare. But those I felt like those were like earned. Like it was like built up to it. I didn't feel like the cheap jump scare feeling when those came up. I was like, yeah, you got me. You know what I
'cause
mean? Like I was happy about it.
and they were spread out enough, like you said. There weren't like the red herring jump scares that
Yeah.
are just fake jump scares because you have to have a
the
jump scare every
terminology
3
over
minutes.
there. Yeah. You're right, and then there's only like 2 or 3 of them in the whole movie too, so they're used sparingly and they're used effectively where they are. Like they made me jump every time they tried to. they never like failed to make me jump when they wanted me to. So
Yeah, and I do what I did like about this movie that I think is part of the reason I didn't like Blair Witch is this movie abandoned the whole notion that this is something that could have really happened. Like there's no notion of like maybe they were just crazy. And it's like no, that you see the ghosts and
yeah,
like the whole thing about where they go out the door, but it's like they go out the exit door, but it's not really the exit, like you said earlier. Like
yeah,
once it passed there, I was like, okay, this is not trying to be realistic. So I
yeah,
kind of I let my guard or like I was more open to the movie when I knew that I was like, okay, they're not trying to make this look realistic.
yeah,
They're like it could really happen
yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah, and I know. So like, this is an interesting conversation because okay, so we all have those friends that actually think that this stuff is real, and if you're those, if you're like some part of our listening group, that's fine, guys. I just don't like, but when I see movies like this, I love it because it makes me suspend my disbelief. I see it. I especially liked the effect where the guy was feeling around in the dark. You could tell he couldn't see anything, and there was a night vision camera on him, and he like gets picked up into a freaking chokehold, and
Was
then
that the ghost medium guy that got?
I think so, and then he got like thrusted across the room, and then he was
Yes.
basically dead.
Yeah.
That was cool. The effect where he gets thrusted wasn't, to me, not nearly as cool as the one where he gets like picked up Darth Vader style. Like, and you could see the apparition behind him. But I'm gonna confess that like my monitor is so good now I could see that. But like when I first watched this movie, it was not on like a really high quality, like color accurate screen. It was like in like I don't know. It was before I had a job and I had like a shitty monitor, and I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that like the apparition shows up a little bit subtly in the back, like behind him, where you could like
I
choke
didn't
hold him.
either.
Okay, yeah. So I could
I
see
thought I had a
it on
good
this
TV,
one.
Mike. You're calling my TV shitty?
Well, okay, but I'm sitting like less than 1 foot away from my monitor, and it's
Okay.
like a nice monitor, so I can see everything. But yeah, I just figured I'd let you know that in case you didn't see it.
I did not. Other than like the girl in the corner and the goat, the tongueless ghost that runs. Like I didn't see any other like physical spirits that I can remember. Or no, well, I guess when he goes down into the um like the bowels of hell or wherever he's at, and he goes into the operating room at the end.
Yeah. I was getting some real Marble Hornets vibe from the underground area when they climb down the ladder. Do you know what Marble Hornets is?
No.
It's the like. So I kind of credit Slender Man as like, I know it's a joke now, but like I credit it as like one of the first internet myths and like legends and
Hmm.
stuff like that. Like that was just born from the internet. And back then, like I watched Marble Hornets, and it was a cool like little found footage YouTube thing, and I believe that's what started the whole. Well, it's not what started the Slender Man, but it's what popularized it because it came from 4chan, and then they made the show on YouTube, and so yeah, like there was this episode that was one of the best episodes, the most popular episodes, and it got several million views or whatever, and it was in an area like that had the pipes on the ceiling, and it was framed really similarly and even color graded really similar, but it came out a little earlier, so I could see some inspiration maybe of that. So like if somebody's watching and that's an off base, I just wanted to say like that's, to me it looks similar, so I was like, oh, maybe they liked Marble Hornets and they worked that in. But yeah, I liked the underground scenes, but
Yeah.
except where he like devoured the rat. I could have done without that, but that was part of the theme of like F you for watching. But I'm thinking
Yeah.
like in the third tier, like why is whoever editing this movie, if that was real, why would they include that? It's like, I guess they would include that out of respect for what he was saying and what he was trying to do, because he's trying to spite the viewer and gross them out by doing that to like spite whoever would be watching this. But
Yeah. I guess another problem I had with the movie was just like I said, with the escalation, it just kind of, the movie just kind of fizzles out. Like it's basically, after TCU, I think was the black guy, like when he got pulled into the bathtub, and it was basically just the the guy that had gone crazy and the girl and the main host guy left, it just kind of like it seemed like nothing really happened after that. Like they went they went down into the tunnels and the girl just slowly died, and then he just kind of went crazy.
Yeah, and she just evaporates into the smoke. Like everybody else gets a brutal, like on camera death, and she's just
Yeah.
like poof.
But I mean, like to your point about like him saying like how can you be watching this and like it's a mental breakdown, I feel like if that were to really happen, that is kind of how it would be in real life. There wouldn't be, I guess I'm thinking of it like a movie. Like if this really happened, it probably would fizzle out because like he would just slowly go insane and then everyone around him dies and then that would be it.
Yep.
So it's like, I guess that part's realistic, but from a movie standpoint, it did kind of, I was checking the runtime a little bit there at the end because I
Yeah.
was just like, all right, literally what else can they do?
Yeah, it does drag a little bit in the end. The one thing that made me giggle was when they looked in the cooler, like at the snacks that they brought, and there's like four things. There's like one apple and like just like a few pickings or whatever in there. And I'm just like, that's all you brought? Like this is a film set. There's like one apple for everyone, and there's like like
Well, they
maggots
did
in
not
it.
have the budget for catering or anything, you know.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna be here all night, but we've already had dinner. We don't really need anything.
But yeah, I mean, there's not much else I have to say about it.
Yeah,
I
same.
liked the movie. It's not one of my favorites or anything, but I think
Yeah.
it's my favorite found footage movie I've ever seen.
Really?
So
So
there's
you
that.
like it better than Blair Witch? You like it better than Paranormal Activity? Any of the big ones that you've seen? I know that I'm just gonna name those two, but I watch a lot in that genre. So
I think those are the only two other found footage movies I've seen, like or what I would call found
did
footage.
we not
But
watch The Gallows ever in this podcast? No.
no, we didn't.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious.
I guess Unfriended would be a found footage kind
Did we
of.
watch that one for the podcast? I don't remember.
No, we watched. Well, I watched it because I went to Horror Nights Hollywood and it was going to be a house. And
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, I've seen it tons of times. It's a funny one. I mean, it's an interesting idea. Like, yeah. Anyways, I don't want to go into the review of that one because we could talk all day about it. But I think so audience, we have been considering a November found footage theme. We're not going to do it next month because next month is the big boy October one, and we got some plans for that. We'll talk about it at the end of the podcast. But I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it because I got enough to fill up, for four movies if we want to do like a found footage theme. But I don't know, like Jake, because
I
Jake
don't know
doesn't
what I
like
would have
that
to
genre.
recommend.
Yeah, Jake doesn't like that genre, but now he's like, according to our messages, he's like, oh, I liked this one, so maybe it has kindled a little bit of interest for you, a little bit on the genre. Like, oh, if I could see more stuff like this, maybe.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Guys, leave a comment down below and convince Jake that we need found footage November. Because otherwise we ain't doing it.
I think it's like I said. I think this one felt more like a movie than it did like a real life thing, except for the ending, how it just kind of fizzled out. I think that's why I liked this because they didn't try to make it real
Yeah.
or like make it like how like I said about Blair Witch. I think that's what I don't like about found footage is it's
That's
most
just the
found
ones
footage.
you've seen, though.
Right. Yeah,
Scenes.
that's true.
God, I can't talk.
I have
It's the
seen
ones-
lots of movies.
Yeah, God. When you've seen.
But I mean, I'd be open to it. I'd have to do some research to come up with a recommendation, but we can discuss it.
Cool. So I think next we should do The Shining. Get that one over
Do we
with.
want to rate this one first?
Yeah. Sorry.
Like-
See, this is the
All
type
right.
of shit I could edit out if this wasn't live. Because I'm an idiot. And we've been doing this format for like a year and a half, and I still forget.
Yep.
So, all right, Jake. Well, actually,
Yeah, you go first. It's your movie.
I was going to say I'm supposed to go first since I recommended it. This one's hard for me to rate. I don't want to give it too high of a score because I am biased. I'm going to say probably a 7 out of 10. I want to give it an 8, but come on. I gave like almost nothing an 8 and that would just rank it above like a lot of movies that we've watched. I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm gonna say I personally enjoy it a lot, and I can watch this movie and the second one like once a year and still enjoy them. I'm like probably the 1% that likes like found footage a lot and will actually actively go out and find like niche found footage movies. So yes, 7 out of 10 for me. And one thing I forgot to mention that I want to mention as part of my little review here. One thing that I liked is that the actors in this movie, even though they're like all sort of unknowns and stuff, one thing I liked is that each actor has 2 tiers of acting, in that like they're acting as their character in the movie, but then they like knowingly and consciously make their acting worse, so that I know when they're doing the show and when they're on camera versus when they're the characters in the movie, and they're able to easily differentiate between that, and it actually like requires a little bit of acting range, because I've tried to do that before myself and I don't have the acting range to be able to do that, because I just like I'm bad and then I'm worse. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't really tell, and you have to be a good enough actor to do that. So I want to just give properinos to the people involved in the movie that they were able to do that.
Yeah, you're not believable as a person, Mike.
Yeah, even in IRL, this is unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna give it a 7. Also,
Oh,
like
sweet.
I like this movie. It's definitely an above average movie. Like
Yeah,
it kept my interest for pretty much the whole time. I did just kind of
it's a little
it
cheese.
did just kind of fizzle out at the end a little bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, how do you end a found footage movie? Like I knew
Yeah,
everyone was gonna die. I knew basically how it was gonna end from the beginning.
yeah,
But yeah, and I liked the the pacing was a little off, or just like how they revealed the ghost and not revealed the ghost and stuff. But I loved the satire of the ghost hunting genre, and there were some good scares. So it was an above average movie that kept my interest pretty much the whole time. So 7 out of 10.
awesome. Cool. I'm really glad you liked it. Jake actually did not want me to recommend this movie because he did not want to watch it. So I'm really glad that I
What? When
trolled
did
him.
I say that?
That was during the last recording. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh,
I'm not
probably because it
mad.
was found footage and I was mad
Yes, yeah,
about
because I
it.
was like, "Oh, it's a found footage," and you're like, "No, don't recommend that." Because I was like, "I'm either gonna recommend Grave Encounters or this," and then Tasha was like, "Don't recommend Grave Encounters; it's found footage." And you're like, "I agree with Tasha. Don't do that." And I'm like, "I'm doing it."
Well, I was pleasantly surprised, Mike, I will say.
Cool, cool. Well, guys, this is a long one, so we're gonna keep going. The Shining. So we're like 25 minutes in. We're doing all right.
Well, before we talk about this, we did get one new sponsor this month that I just want to give our
Ooh.
mandatory shout out to. So this month's live episode is brought to you by Shine VPN. So I mean, everyone's been on that where you're on your winter vacation with your family, just kind of going through the hedge maze, hanging out, and there's this soggy old woman that keeps trying to like get in and steal your soul. But with the Shine VPN, you can keep all those people out and keep all of your thoughts and your souls private. And it even has this cool feature where you can change your location, so you can see thoughts from the UK or China. You can just unlock all the world's content through Shine VPN. So if you're interested, you can use our promo code DannyBoy to get 3% off your first month of Shine VPN.
All right. Thanks for Shine VPN for sponsoring this channel. We wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. So, The Shining. Okay, we don't have the people in to summarize because the person who recommended it is not here and shall not be named, because people who aren't here do not get named anymore. So screw you guys.
Even wives and
Yeah.
mothers of children.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, Tasha. If you're listening to this, you turn off the podcast now. You're not welcome here. Oh God, she's gonna kill me.
I'll allow you back, Tasha.
Okay, well, Tasha's allowed back. Molly though, she's not allowed. She's just too little to listen to this. So, The Shining is notoriously Stephen King's least favorite movie on the planet. No, I'm just kidding. He did not like this movie. It is a movie where the father of the family, he agrees to sort of babysit this fucking like hotel He's over there. He's doing his thing. He's writing. He's doing his things. Okay, I'll quit being annoying. I was trying to be funny. And as the movie unfolds, he goes insane. He tries to kill his family, chases them. He's got his big forehead, chases him out.
Right.
We'll talk about why I said that. He chases him out and then, tries to kill them. And that's the movie. I mean, there's way more details, but I go into too long of a description. I'm trying to be quick. So.
Yeah, I mean that really is the plot. A dad goes insane, tries to kill his family, and there's a hotel.
Yeah.
The end.
And the kid's got a big wheel, and he rides it inside.
Yep.
Because I would never let a child ride their big wheel in my house.
Well, if it was the Overlook, I would. Like that's so big.
That's true. It's a big one. I think it'd be like, as a kid, that would have been a dream to play in like a place that big and like explore it.
Oh,
I would
absolutely.
have loved that. I was like, I see that and I'm like, that would have been like, But not the haunting, not so much. But the hotel, that would have been nice.
Yeah, just being able to run around a space that big in general would be fun.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was Tosh's recommendation, and it's a classic. It's and for good reason. It's a good movie, and I really enjoy the movie. The thing I will say is, and I'll say this about pretty much all of the Stanley Kubrick movies I've seen, which is only a few. Like, his movies are, like, they're more than the sum of their parts. Like, if you try to break down The Shining like we're about to, like, the way you talk about it and think about it, it doesn't sound great, but it's just, like, you have to see it and experience it. And it's, like, it's one of those movies that you don't think affects you, and then you just find yourself thinking about it, like, for forever afterwards. Kind of like The Exorcist was for me when I was a kid, where it's like I didn't think it was affecting me until I just kept thinking about it. But that was a very long-winded way to say this is a good movie, but like I do have a lot of nitpicks and things that I don't like about it. I guess
that's fair. I agree. I think this movie is mostly like about tone and atmosphere, or like that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
And that's really hard to convey describing a plot. It's like we're a very nitpicky bunch, and that's what we do. And this is a poor movie to do that to because of the way it's crafted and the way it unfolds. I just learned this recently, but apparently this movie, when it first came out, was not very well received critically.
Yeah, that's what I
like
heard
young
too.
people liked it, but critics didn't like it, which I think is interesting because now it's pretty much regarded as like one of the heavy hitters in cinematic horror history, at least. That's interesting to me.
But I will say there doesn't, and I think this is part of the reason Stephen King has a gripe with it. There's not very much substance to this movie. It is very much like all sizzle. It's like just the kind of, there is substance. There's a lot of like subtext and things that you can put into the movie and things you can see that like aren't specifically being told to you. But as far as plot and character development and like even most of the acting performances, it's not amazing. It's just kind of average. And my biggest gripe with the movie, which I think is what Stephen King said was Jack Nicholson was not believable as a normal human being. Because like the whole point of The Shining is that Jack is a normal person that loves his family, but just the hotel overtakes him and forces him to go insane. In this movie, Jack Nicholson is an asshole to his family at every point, and he just goes from a crazy person to a literal fucking insane person. Like it's not that big of a stretch. It's they're just the escalation.
I just find
of
it a little bit unrealistic too. Like as far as like his dissension into madness. And I know it's supernatural, so that's kind of a weird criticism. But I'm just talking about, like you said, how sudden the transformation is. And it doesn't feel very gradual at all. It's just like one scene, and then like one in the middle, and then let's go into it in the next scene. And now he's insane and he's lost his mind.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like he's Jack Nicholson, the way he plays him, which I don't know if it's his fault or Stanley Kubrick or everybody in the movie's fault, but he's not a sympathetic character at all. And like in the book, I think it's very important that you see Jack as a sympathetic character. That adds more to like the tragedy of like the fact that he dies at the end, and he and I won't talk too much about Doctor Sleep, but like
Right.
that basically Jack being a normal person you can identify with is very important to Doctor Sleep working, like the sequel to
Yeah.
this. So
I haven't seen
like
Doctor Sleep yet because me and Tosh are waiting for something to watch it. Can't say
yeah,
what. It's a
but
secret. But
it's well, it's good. I liked the movie, but I really like the book. But yeah, it's like I think Jack Nicholson is great like at playing insane. Like the scene where he's coming up the stairs after Wendy, that is a fantastic scene. Like that's very unsettling and he's very creepy, but it's just like he doesn't seem to have the range to play like in the beginning of the movie he should just be a normal guy that loves his family and like wants to hang out with his kid and stuff, but
right.
I don't know.
I get it. I get what you're saying. I totally agree. I think we're like really in tune for this one as well. If this is your first podcast, me and Jake are normally have different opinions on things, but we haven't yet. So just wait for some conflict. It might come, or maybe next time. This one is really hard. I don't have any more notes about this one actually. Aside from, I do want to explain why I said the forehead thing. So
Yeah,
when we went to see this in Halloween Horror Nights, so if this is your first time listening, we go to Halloween Horror Nights every year at Universal Studios, and we go every year, and one of the houses one year had The Shining. It was The Shining, and the actors like they had a fake prosthetic on their foreheads just to make their foreheads bigger.
yeah,
And
it
we're
was
like,
like
he doesn't have that big of a forehead. Like, you don't need a fake prosthetic, right?
yeah, it was like a mask without the face because it had the forehead and the hair, but then it was like the actor's regular face, and it looked so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was awful. But, normally their stuff is good. That's why we pay so much and we go every year, except for 2020
And
because
it was a good
pandemic.
house.
But
I just the forehead prosthetics did make me laugh every time.
yeah, it was a good house. It was aight. It was not one of my favorites, but it was aight.
Yeah, and like noticing it, watching. I've seen this movie a bunch of times. Like
Yeah,
I
me
do
too.
really like this
I
movie. I
love
want
this
that to
movie.
come across.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say we're complaining a lot, but that like it's because everybody knows that we're gonna like this movie because we have a horror podcast and we love horror, and this is an awesome movie. So like,
Yeah,
yeah. So like, you
'cause
can't
like
differentiate yourself without talking about the few problems that you have with it that maybe other people don't. So
yeah, and I mean this is one of the horror movies that like people that don't like horror like this is just one of the like this is regarded as like a classic movie that everybody should see, and I think it is like a good movie that people should see.
agreed.
But well, the last negative I guess I'll say is like just some of the dialogue and the line readings is a little is bad, and it's like
Yeah.
the new drinking game I'm gonna play next time I watch this is every time somebody says or adds like a filler word in the conversation, take a drink and you'll be
Oh,
dead in 2 minutes.
Jesus. Yeah. That I
Because
won't want to play that drinking game.
I don't. I guess it just adds to like the awkward like because I'm specifically talking about like when Wendy is talking to the doctor like talking about how she's trying to not say how Jack broke Danny's arm, and when Jack's doing his interview with Ullman at the beginning it was driving me crazy. It was just like do you not remember the lines, or you were purposely adding like in between every word?
Yeah, it's like
But
that was the
anyway,
best take that you had for that.
yeah, because with Stanley Kubrick, he like famously made the actors do like hundreds and hundreds of takes, and it's like, yeah, that's the best.
That's the best one. I like the ums and ahs. That's what he's thinking. He's like, I like it.
And that's also why the movie's 2 hours, because they take 10 years to say every line. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Out of all the ones, I watched this one at a slightly increased speed because I guess I have no patience. So I was like, oh, 2 hours and 20 minutes. I've seen this movie 100 times. I'm watching this one at 2 times speed.
no, I was kind of the same. Like I didn't watch this one as closely as the others because I've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's a movie that, like, I'll watch it once a year, but I have to be like really in the mood, and like I have
Yeah.
to be like 100% engrossed in like the vibe and the set design and the whole feeling of it.
Yeah.
It's not just a casual movie you throw on in the background.
Sometimes you can have a beer and you're just like, I want to watch The Shining, and you just,
Yep.
it's because it's the only movie that can satisfy that shining itch.
Yep. But yeah, I feel like we're rambling a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't have too much else
I'm good.
to say.
I'm good to rate this one. And guys, I'm sorry if this one was way shorter than Grave Encounters. I'm gonna rate it higher and stuff than I did Grave Encounters, but there's just not that much to say that hasn't already been said about this movie, and I don't want to make it boring. So sorry, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, of all the movies we've ever talked about, this is the one that has been analyzed the most out of any movie
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah. So yeah, go watch a better YouTuber if you want a good review of this movie. Okay. Okay.
No, like, this was a good review because literally nobody talks about The Shining. All they say is this is the best movie ever made.
That's
Everything
true.
about it is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're being more real.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe we've earned a dislike. Maybe if you're
Right.
listening, you're like, no. Like they liked it during Grave Encounters and they switched it, and now they're laughing because we did the meta thing, so they thumbs it back up. Yeah, guys, if you're watching, just keep switching your thumbs up and down as the
Yeah,
review.
please.
They said
Any
something I
interaction
didn't
is
like.
good.
Yeah. They said something I liked. Back up. I've done that a few times. It's fun.
I have done that with one YouTube video, one or two, where it's like
Yeah,
I
you
like
get
it, or-
salty, and then you're like, oh, I give it a thumbs up. You're like,
that's why I never
dislike, and then
I
like.
never do that because I always, if I dislike it, I always feel bad and then like undo it.
Yeah, it's pretty rare for me to keep the dislike too. And then you could,
But anyway.
in the old YouTube, you could flag videos. If you hated them so much, you could just flag them.
This content is offensive.
Yeah, 12-year-old Mike in 2007 was a dick. Actually, I was older than that in 2007. God. Yeah,
We old.
we old.
I'm older than you, but we're both old.
Like a year.
Um,
A year older than me. Tosh
Anyway.
is way older than me. She's like a grandma, dude. So she's listening to this like, read.
The one dislike will be from Tasha.
Okay, you guys gotta like it. By the way, guys, Tasha's my wife. So I just realized that there might be some first-time listeners like, who the fuck
No,
is
Mike's
Tasha?
just an asshole.
It's like one person paused it and then they go to like listen into the previous ones and they think that Tasha was like our one commenter. So they go back and it's like, are they talking about their one fan? Just talking shit about one fan. No, but we love everybody that listens. If you're listening now, thank you guys. But yeah. So let's rate it, and then I guess we can do Vivarium and end it with the Stay Alive.
Yep.
So yeah, this one's hard. I'm really tempted to give it a 10, but I wouldn't be honest with myself because my personal enjoyment of this movie, I think a lot of people would give this a 10 because it's like part of the classics. It would be easy to get away with giving this a 10. But I'm not going to because my personal enjoyment of this movie isn't a 10. And I don't even know, like, for me, it's like a low 9, high 8, and I don't know which one to say. But I don't like to do halves. I don't like to do like 8.5 or whatever. So, I think because of the pedigree that this movie carries, I'm going to give it a 9. But just know that it's somewhere in between a 9 and an 8. If I could give it an 8.5, that's what I would do. But I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I was debating between an 8 or a 9. Like, I like this movie, and it's like a movie that, like I said, the more you think about it, I'm like, that movie is so good. And then I watch it, and I'm like, well, I mean, this is kind of dumb. That doesn't make any sense. This is stupid.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you look at it from 10,000 feet, it's an amazing 11 out of 10 movie, but then when you like look at the nitty gritty, it's like, well, it's not perfect.
Stephen King has
So
joined the chat. He comes in. Actually, this is a one.
that would be funny if we like. I would love if Stephen King just would comment like, actually, this is a 1 out of 10, and he just leaves it at that.
Yeah, that would be worth like the tens of hours that I've spent on this podcast just to have one comment from like Stephen King saying that.
Or he like retweets it and is like, I don't agree with these, and then we just get so much hate from Stephen King fans. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give. Or go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, you're good. I'm good.
I'll give The Shining a 9 out of 10. Also, just it is a good movie. It's got such a feeling and like a sense of dread and an atmosphere to it that can't really be articulated, and it's just something that sticks with you in like a way that most movies don't. So 9 out of 10.
Cool. And so the next one on our plate is Vivarium. I'm going to tackle this description as well, so you guys are going to get real tired of hearing my voice. But hey, that's what happens when people don't show. So Vivarium is a movie that is about, I think, the trappings of life, and it is basically a movie where a couple wants a house because they want to have the traditional like American life that everybody sort of imagines. Like they want to have a house and whatever. And so they go to a real estate office and they meet what is, I believe, from the book scene, an alien. But it could be like a demon or whatever. It doesn't really matter if it's an alien or a demon or like whatever. It's just not a human being. So it meets like a non-human realtor who is very sketch, and they go with him anyways, even though like they have no. Dude, yeah. Anyways, that was the immediate red flag. I don't like this movie, but let's go on. So if I complain while I'm doing it, that's why. So they follow the guy to the house, and the guy's kind of explaining the house in a really weird salesman-y way, and with weird inflections upon his voice and his body language. It gives us these serial killer vibes, and they're just cool with it. They're just like whatever. And then he just disappears, and they're stuck in this like philosophical trap where they can't go in any direction because they'll always end up in the same place. So it's that sort of cliche, where you follow the sun, you go in a straight line, but you end up in the same place.
It's like Grave Encounters where you're just trapped and there's literally no way out.
Yeah, it's literally that. Yeah, it's like the same thing, but they're like in a big outside area instead of in a mental hospital. But yeah, no, that's true. And so like they raise this child because that's literally the definition of vivarium. Thanks Foundflix. But that's the definition of vivarium is like it's like they're in sort of like an experiment to where they're raising the child of another species, and they're sort of in a simulation. They're in like a simulated habitat, and so they raise the next realtor guy who then at the end takes over for the old man who lived for about 1 year. I think that's around the lifespan because when they painted over his height, it was around a year. It was getting close to that 365-day mark. So I'm going to assume that his species lives for about a year since the other guy was an adult when they showed him the house, and I kind of calculated in my head and I was like, it's probably about a year. So he goes to the place where the guy was at and then replaces him as a realtor, and then the next people come in. So it's like almost like a loop of of the alien species growing up, getting a couple there, and whatever. And there was this part in the middle that the lady was able to like go into the alien dimension and see like other people who were being tortured and the previous, I guess, realtors. I would assume that they're previous and not future, but they could be either way. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, so this movie was trying to be trippy, and I found a lot of it, like, annoying. Like, I know it was trying to annoy you with the kid, but that doesn't detract from the fact that it's annoying. Like, even if they're trying to be annoying, it's still annoying.
Yeah, and I didn't love the movie either. Like, I loved the premise and the setup, and like I loved the.
Oh, I forgot to talk about the guy digging the hole. I just skipped that because go ahead though. The guy's digging a hole the whole time.
Yeah, because I guess he was trying to dig out of the whatever simulation they were in.
Yeah.
But
Well, I
what I
think
was
it's a
saying was,
metaphor. I think the hole is a metaphor, but go
well,
ahead.
he's digging his own grave because they just throw the bodies in there.
Yeah, but it's
Because
also like it's like he's chasing something. So he's
yeah,
wasting his life and his time there every day in and day out chasing something. So I think it goes back to the household like analogy and metaphor to, it's like the man of the house. He's just like maybe it's a metaphor for career focus, like you just lose like your life like just focused on this one goal. You just, maybe you want financial independence or maybe you want whatever, but you end up like losing a lot of time with your family. I don't know, I kind of see that analogy, but go ahead, sorry.
yeah, and
There was a
it's
big interruption. Sorry.
well, no, and no, that's true, and it's kind of like the grass is always greener too, because
Mm-hmm.
like on paper, at least I don't think it's what the guy wanted, but it's on paper it's what the girl wanted. They're living in this pristine house. They have a kid, and basically that's all they have. Like they don't have to work. They don't have to worry about anything. All they have to do is just hang out,
Yeah.
and they have a kid. So it's like on paper this is like the quote American dream or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so it's like, but it's also kind of a trap that you can't escape, and it's
Yeah.
well, yeah, and it's like the grass is always greener, and also that's like nothing is what you think it's going to be,
Yeah.
or it's like nothing ever lives up to what you expect. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just thinking out loud, but that's kind of what I took out of it.
Yeah. The voice of the kid is kind of cool and creepy, but also kind of annoying. I'm gonna leave that one as a positive point though, because at least it helped keep my interest in the movie. Because I kept like, I don't look at my phone during movies. I really like try not to do that, so I didn't do that. But I was kind of starting to like have the 1,000 yard stare at some points of the movie, like at the TV or like at the screen. To where I just was kind of trying to zone out mentally and think about other things, and then like the voice would kind of zone me back in, and I'd be like, "Oh, the kid's saying something that's like at least mildly interesting." But
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the only reason I'm regarding that as a positive.
I did think that like I liked the kid better than the adult version of like the little alien thing, whatever. Um, like the kid was more interesting.
Yeah.
And like what I was saying a minute ago is I liked the visual style of this. It felt very like almost Tim Burton-y or like it was like if you ever saw the live action Cat in the Hat with Mike Myers, where it's like these are real places but they just look weird and cartoony and kind of like otherworldly. It was kind of like that art style, but
Hmm.
not as extreme, but it was just like things are real but they look off. And like I felt the same way about like whatever that weird like pattern thing he would watch on the TV. Like
Hmm.
that was kind of cool. But again, like what the hell was that? That didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and there's a lot of things that I think the movie feels is like really profound, and it's not. And that's really a lot of big problems that I have with this movie is like it seems like that it's trying to make this profound like statement, but most of it's pretty obvious what it's trying to say, and it's not that interesting to me what it's trying to say. Like the overall message is not that interesting to me. And so I just found this movie to be like almost like pretty boring, to be honest.
yeah, no, I 100% agree. This is a very interesting podcast. We just agree on everything.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I wish we
um,
could debate a little bit. That's okay. I mean, we were just being honest to our feelings.
yeah, like yeah, I kind of wasn't. I like I said, I like the premise of this movie,
Kill the
but
kid. Kill the kid.
yeah,
They should have
I
killed the kid.
yeah, 100%. And it. I do like the realization that the woman makes at the end of like, yeah, I should have killed this motherfucker. But
Yeah, once he's too big, like to where he could overpower the guy, he's like probably bigger and stronger than the other guy. So then it's too late.
yeah, but I like you said, the movie was kind of boring, and the lead up to it just like nothing was happening, and it was frustrating.
Hmm.
But it could have been
Mothers are
saved.
just there to raise their kids and then they die because we don't value women enough. It's like,
Well, like that's the circle of life. Is the
yeah,
previous generation raises the new generation, and then they die. Like that sucks, but you know, that's how
Yeah, it's like,
everything
what do you want me to
works.
do? Boot it? As our
Yeah, this movie
Canadian
just was
friends
like,
would say.
this movie boiled my blood. Like, what do you want from me? I can't do everything.
Yeah. Do you want me to stop living my life? Like, I don't know what the movie wants me to do. Tell me.
But what I was gonna say is like all I wanted from this movie was to learn more about like the alien bird, whatever the hell they were, and they
Yes.
didn't give me that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's all I wanted. Like,
Yeah, and the if you're involved in the film, you're thinking that's not important. That's not part of the message I was trying to say. Well, the message isn't interesting. I wanted to just see some alien necks sticking out like birds, like, "Wah!" Like,
yeah, like,
a bunch
well,
of guys just float in, like,
it's a fine line because a lot of the times I say about movies like, oh, they showed way too much of the monster or like told too much about the backstory. But I feel like this movie didn't give us enough
it didn't give a
of
shit
that.
about that. It doesn't care about that. It's just like, hey, let's go like randomly into Dr. Seuss zone, and the guy just like pulls up the dimension at the where the
Yeah,
curbside is, and she's just able to keep it open with like a pickaxe because why not? You know, because the movie needs her to follow him in there at that point. You know, and
yeah,
she didn't kill him when she hit him with a freaking pickaxe, so she's like, at that point, you're just not even rooting for her anymore because you're just like, well, you had your chance, lady. Now, and we're like, why would you follow him in there? I wouldn't. I'd be like, well, he got away. So I'm not going in there. That's his zone.
he'll be back just like he is literally every other day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he's been locking him out anyways. So it's like if she has the pickaxe, then why don't she break into the house or something?
Yeah.
And she can
Well,
go to the other houses. Why don't they just go live in a different house when they locked him out? That would have been funny. Like, you can't do that. You can't go live in
well,
house number 8.
I guess I wouldn't have gotten like the little box of food or whatever that comes every day. I don't know, but
It's, one box would come. It's just a body bag.
yeah.
You buried with your work.
Yeah, that was the other thing that I didn't get. Maybe I missed something, but like why does the guy die? He just like is like, "All right, I'm gonna die now."
I think it was because he wasn't following the instructions. He wasn't raising the child. He was just in the hole, and that's it. So they were like he wasn't following the directive. So they were like it was almost like slowly poisoning him or something. That's what I thought. And then also like I wish that the whole subplot would have went somewhere because they used so much camera time on us just watching him dig the hole. And this is a
Well, it
like longer movie. It's like what, like an hour and 40 minutes or something. So you're
something.
just watching him dig a hole for like 30 minutes of the movie, just
It did
into
have a little
nothing.
it had a little bit of a payoff because didn't he find like the body bags from the previous people and then that's when he died or some like I swear that he dug down and found like
Like he found like a tarp or so. I don't. You know what? You might be right. I don't remember what. I thought he pulled a tarp out. Oh, I guess that they did that on purpose to make it not clear. But yeah, no, you're definitely right on that. So
I
like, oh, okay. So each person each time probably digs deep enough to do that, and then dies at that point. So that's probably happening to the next people too, where they dig and they find their bodies, and then that's when the guy dies,
yeah
and it's like a loop. But then it would
yeah
just get higher and closer to the surface, though.
yeah because yeah it was very much about the loop and the repetitiveness and all of that stuff. That
Yeah,
was pretty much what this whole movie was,
yeah,
which to your point is not very interesting. It's like
yeah.
that's boring to
I've
watch
seen
the
a
same
short
thing over and
film
over.
that conveys that concept in like 10 minutes and was a great short film. Like I've seen that on YouTube. I've seen that, in a lot of places, and it's cool in a short film. This movie could have been a cool short film. If this was like a
Yeah,
10-minute
absolutely.
short film, I would probably dig it. Like you could condense this whole movie into that, and I'd be like, nice.
Yeah. Like I this movie like this is going to sound melodramatic, but this movie is kind of what I don't like about horror, like some horror. This movie just thought it was the smartest thing ever and it thought it was so deep and it's
Profound.
just
Yeah.
yeah, it thought it was this high class art piece like you just sit back with a swirling your bottle of wine and you're just like yes,
Pretentious.
this yes, it was very pretentious and it was like a hipster horror movie. It's like all of these like hipsters that think they are like these film experts are just going to be like, you just don't understand this movie. It's too deep, or
Yeah,
like there's
you didn't
this
like it
and
because
this.
of that. It's like, no, I get it, and I don't like it.
Well, it's like uh, I guess this is my horror preference, but I don't see horror as a high art. I want something that's just so ridiculous and fun and stupid and cheesy. I don't want a gin and tonic. I want Mountain Dew and cream whip vodka, like in my horror
Hey.
movies.
Well, I'm the opposite. I like well, this is why we disagree on like a lot of movies, on like some of the artsy ones that I've recommended, like Midsommar and The
Oh, that was
Lighthouse.
the biggest disagreement.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to see us disagree, go with that one. That was like, yeah, I like that episode. Um, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. The acting was good.
Yeah.
Camera work was okay. I mean, I just can't believe they didn't notice anything when the sky was all fucked up too. It's like, oh look, the sky looks like a freaking like Dr. Seuss book.
Yeah, there's like there's perfect clouds in a symmetrical pattern.
Yeah, eh.
Whatever. That's just any day.
I guess I
Yeah.
don't look up to the sky very much. I'll forgive them for that, but whatever.
Well, they were too busy living in the fast lane in the rat race or whatever the hell they were trying to say.
Yeah.
To look at I
I
don't
I
know.
feel like the one time I would look in the sky is like when I'm driving, though, especially in a flat area instead of like, where I live in West Virginia. If it's like flat and whatever, when I was driving like Georgia, then like that's the only thing to look at is like the road and the sky. So I feel like I would notice if in the horizon like the clouds just changed, but whatever.
Yeah, we're getting way into the nitpicky
Yeah,
of this,
that's a little lame nitpick. I'll give you that one.
but yeah, do you want to just go into ratings then?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this one a five. Like it's not an offensively bad movie, but it's just kind of boring, and like I like the premise. I
Hmm.
like the kind of the atmosphere and the design of like the kind of Dr. Seuss, Tim Burton-y like feel to everything. Um, but yeah, it's just I wanted more of either I wanted more of the alien creature or I wanted to like care more about the characters or like have more like stakes in it. I don't know what they could have done
Yeah.
differently, but just have there
Something.
needs to be like more escalation to stuff.
There needs to be a little bit more meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's all I have to say. It was average
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, I think that like there was too much side dishes and not enough meat and potatoes.
Yep.
So I'm actually going to give this one a 4 because I think like this one's a little worse than your average movie. And like average is 5, so I guess Jake thinks it's an average and I think it's worse than average, but it's okay. Um, just kidding. I was just messing with you. Yeah, so that's that. I don't really have anything else to add other than like the kid did well as a performer.
Yeah.
I thought that his like performance was good, even though they redubbed his voice, like his acting and his body language. So like all the actors were good. I mean, they had some solid. Like the one guy's an A-list actor, the guy that
Yeah,
plays
Eisenberg.
Mark Zuckerberg over there. Uh,
Yeah, and he did the least. Like it was mainly focused on the girl.
yeah,
He was barely in it. He was just digging a hole for
yeah,
like I'm gonna get paid $2 million to dig a hole for 2 weeks or
yeah.
whatever.
Then we'll pretend to be a tree at the beginning and then dig a hole. That's my performance. Check, please.
Oscar.
Probably made more than I'll make in my entire life just digging that hole.
Yep.
God damn it. That's okay. Okay, the last movie is Stay Alive. So confession time before we get into this movie. I watched this movie 4 or 5 weeks ago. So I might be a little fuzzy on a couple parts. But as you do the summary, I will pull up my notes.
Yeah, so this movie, it's basically it's a horror killer video game. It came out in like 2006, so it was like kind of after the height of like Resident Evil and Silent Hill and all of those games a little bit. But it centers on basically there's this game developer. He's like a game tester, and he's playing this new game, Stay Alive, and he dies in the game, and it's like Nightmare on Elm Street, where if you die in the game, you die in real life. So he dies, and then all of his friends, they find the game and his stuff, and then they all play it, and then it's just kind of they're trying to figure out the curse of Elizabeth Bathory, who I guess is like possessing the game or something,
Right.
and that's how they're killing people. So they're just trying to kill Elizabeth Bathory before the game kills them. And it's just kind of a fun PG-13 horror movie. Like this movie I've watched since it came out. Like my other friend who was more into horror, the same friend, my friend Haley, who showed me The Exorcist for the first time. It was about around the same time she showed me this, and we both loved this movie, mainly because we always played this 90s VHS horror board game called Nightmare, and one of the characters in that game is Elizabeth Bathory, so that's kind of why we like latched onto this
Oh,
movie.
cool.
But I
Interesting.
love that game. Um, this podcast is not sponsored by Nightmare, but I want it to be. I love those games. They're like my favorite thing. Anyway, but so that's kind of what drew me into the movie to begin with. But like I just had a great time. I've always had a great time with this movie. I think it's really fun. But what about you?
I like it. It's got this like I love movies that have that early 2000s vibe,
Yep.
and it totally has that tone to it, which is fun. It gave me a lot of nostalgia. I don't know exactly what year it came out. I think it was '01 or something like that.
I think it was '06 or like it was like
Oh, okay.
in that like mid 2000s
Okay, I thought
era.
it was early 2000. My bad. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it. You know what I liked about it, and the reason why, even though this was my first time watching it, I was able to really latch onto it, is because it reminded me of like some of the, and this is kind of sad, but some of the current modern day like VR games that I play. It reminded me of those, and I'm really big fan of those. As you know, I'm obsessed with it.
Yep.
I'm trying to get everybody I know into it so I can spend time with them in there. And yeah, so I liked the whole like you die in the game and you die in real life, man. And it had just enough cheese factor, like just the right amount. It didn't
Right.
like it wasn't like too cheesy, but it was just enough cheesy, and I liked that. Um, I liked when like they were trying to save the girl's life, and the guy was sort of the like on his laptop, like figuring out like where to go. Like telling him, "Oh,
Oh,
go up the stairs," and they go in this
oh, and
room.
yeah, Frankie Muniz.
Yeah, right,
Yep.
right. He was doing that, and then and then when they like tried to cheat and like make him lose the game by like locking him out of the car, I was like, "What the heck?" I was
Yeah,
like, "Just let
that
him."
ain't right.
Yeah, I was like, "Hey, you
And
can't tether his death to losing and then like
and
be paranormal cheater."
I like how all he does is he reaches in the window and hits the X button, and then all of a sudden he's just running. And I'm like, that's not how games work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like he's got this like Switch controller or something on the outside.
Yeah, he's got the motion controls. He's just wiggling it back
Yeah,
and forth.
out to sea, yes, sea. Yeah.
But no, like the reason I picked this movie is because it was one I loved a lot when I was younger, like early teenage, 13, 14. But it's like in quarantine I've really gotten into retro video games, and like I've watched a lot more horror movies, so this movie was the perfect like combination of the two. And like I've played the original Resident Evil, and I'm playing some of those, so I'm playing more of like the horror games that this was inspired by. So
Yeah.
like I appreciate the effort that they put into the actual gameplay part of it a lot more now,
Yeah.
because it's like it seems like a cool game. Like I
I want to
would
play
play
this
it.
game. Yeah. I want them to port this game to VR so I can play it.
But it is, just thinking about the time it came out, it was like the PS2 era. So like even watching it back then, I was like, there is no way that any video game could be like this. Like it was like PS4 level, like the
Disagree.
interaction you could have with the game and stuff, like the voice recognition and just like how you
Yeah.
could like turn all the objects in the game and just do whatever you wanted.
Yeah. True. Big
But
true.
like Um, so that was a little like for the time they were reaching a little bit with how good the game would have been,
Yeah.
but
all the
It would
times
have.
where they're actually playing the game are the best parts of the movie. I wish that there was more of that. But like certain parts where they're like, and this isn't their fault because this hasn't become a cliche yet when this movie came out. But they're like really badly like fake stock footage esque pretending to play video games. Like
Yeah, they're just hitting every button really quick.
Yes, when you tell actors to pretend to play video games, they always fucking mash the buttons. If they don't ever play games, they're
Like unless you're playing Tony Hawk, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like they're just walking in like a horror game and not doing anything, and they're just like pressing like X0 triangle square X square triangle, and I was just
But then
like,
when Frankie Muniz has to run away from Elizabeth Bathory, he hits one button and he's like running all around the thing.
yeah, and I was just like, well, then what are you pressing all those buttons for? Yeah, I just want to
That's
see.
because
This
he didn't
movie,
have his
like,
wrist glove on. He
I just want to see this movie, but one of the characters is like the angry video game nerd. He's like, ass! Like he died, like right before he gets run over by the
so
carriage.
funny.
He's like, ass!
I would love him to do a video of this because, like, well, shout out to the Angry Video Game Nerd sponsor of the show.
Yeah, he's definitely our sponsor.
It would be like because you know how he does his videos where he'll just like really shittily put himself into movies and like or games and stuff. I would love him to do that. Why the fuck are you pressing all those buttons? Like, are you? I don't know. I can't do an impression.
I've seen better video games for garbage dumpster fire Shutterstock videos. Something like that.
Shout out to the Angry Video Game Nerd. Come on the podcast.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. Yeah. Oh man, what else? I've already exhausted my notes. I feel like I should have taken better notes on this movie. I thought that I was gonna remember everything by heart, but I feel like there's so much that I wanted to say that I'm not saying.
Yeah, like I'll just talk about some of the stuff I thought was funny,
Yeah, go ahead.
like the product placement in this movie. I thought was really funny. It was like Red Bull and Alienware,
Yeah.
like computers.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Oh, dude, it gave me some nostalgia from the old Alienware computers.
And it was so funny that literally Alienware saves the day because it's
Yes!
the shiny plastic laptop that kills Elizabeth Bathory.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Oh, yeah, and the acting in the end was so bad, though. Like, that actress did pretty well up until she was supposed to be, like, desperately afraid. And then it just falls apart right there.
You have to finish this.
Yeah. It's
I'm
like,
like, girl,
oh,
calm down.
cringe. It's like, I know I said that there was just the right amount of cheese, but man, that was like a grilled cheese.
Yeah, like it's definitely like a PG-13 movie. Like this is not, like I said, this is not a deep movie.
Yeah.
Like it's not gonna win awards, and there's a lot of plot holes in it.
Yeah.
Just like like you said, like the rules of the game. It's like apparently she can manifest in real life to try and kill Frankie Muniz, even though he hasn't died in the game, and somehow Frankie Muniz can pretend to die, and the game says he's dead, but then he's not dead. Because he fell in a bed of roses or something. Like, there's a lot of plot holes and stuff like that, but it's just, you can't...
Yeah.
With this movie, you can't look at that or you're going to hate it.
It's kind of dumb that they make the whole rose thing, but whatever.
Yeah,
it's like a silver bullet situation almost.
I really like the story of Elizabeth Bathory. Like, I was into all of it. Like, I like her... Because I think that part is at least somewhat based in... Like, a real story is that she drained the blood of girls and bathed in it and stuff.
Yeah. I could see myself having some beers and watching this with my, like, friends that have never seen it. And, like, just laughing. And just having a good time with it. Not laughing at the movie, like, because it's so bad, but just laughing
some of it.
at, like... Yeah, some of it, exactly. But, like, laughing about, like, some of the nostalgia or, like, just some of the things in the movie that are just, like, part of gamer culture or whatever. Gamer... But yeah, it's got that cool tone to it. I'm definitely gonna rewatch this movie. Like I'm definitely into it.
Yeah, and one prop I will give the movie. I really loved the motif of the joystick rumble. That was kind of like the signal that like Elizabeth Bathory was coming. Like I thought that was so clever and well used. Like it was just like the brr brr. Like it fit with like the video game tone, and it was
Yeah.
actually kind of scary at times the way they used it. So I thought that was amazing how they did that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and also like I had a hard time believing some of the characters were gamers in this era.
Absolutely.
Especially, and I'm not being like sexist. It's just the type of women that they were. Their personalities like didn't remind me of gamers. That's what I meant. That's what I mean when
Yeah,
I say that. Like the guys are like super nerdy guys, and I'm like these people don't seem like that they would be friends in real life either.
100%.
Okay, cool. I'm just don't want to piss anybody off. I feel like when I say things, I don't want it to come across the wrong way. I guess.
Yeah, it's like the kind of smart ass blonde guy that was she was the brother of the goth girl. Like he was so funny, and like he was the perfect, like he was the vessel for all of like
Yeah.
the gamer jokes. Well, him and Frankie Muniz.
Yeah.
Like Frankie was like the nerdy character, and he was like the burnout,
Yeah.
like guy that chugs Red Bull and Mountain Dew and
Yeah.
eats Doritos and shit.
Yeah. I was like, hey, this is like the fat World of Warcraft guy.
Yes, 100, yes, absolutely.
Yes. He kicks your ass in WoW. How do you kill that what has no life?
Oh, I'm gonna have to watch that episode again.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's one of the best episodes, in my opinion.
yeah, like there's not um, too much else. I do still think it's funny. Like, basically when they discover the giant graveyard where the tower is, it's like fucking like 20 acres of like graveyard, and I'm like, nobody knew that was there. Literally, you can't see that from the road. You can't see the 100-foot tower from the road or anything.
Yeah.
That was like that the movie was asking a lot for us to just ignore that. But
Yeah.
I did.
The movie does ask you to ignore a lot. I'll give you that. But
But like, it's like I said, this movie, you can pick apart this movie to death. And
oh yeah.
I think when I recommended it, I said I'm not saying it's a good movie, but it's so much fun. Like
Yeah.
I watch this movie once or twice a year, and I just love it so much. It's just so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely this one's definitely in my like watch list for like just every now and again. Keep something on and enjoy it and be less depressed during COVID.
Yep. It is definitely like it's a feel good movie.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
in like the traditional sense, but it's just like
It's like just what the doctor ordered
yeah.
when you play it. Yeah. All right. Well, that was a very efficient review. So I guess we can go into if you're good, we can go into ratings. If you don't have anything else.
Well, my last thing, like I said, that the game asks you to do a lot. The one thing that bugs me and I cannot forgive is when Swink, the Frankie Muniz character, in the game he drops a crowbar and then it just magically appears in real life on the step. I'm like, come on now. Like, I was with you up until this point, but no, that's too much.
That's where you draw the line.
Yeah, like I get that Elizabeth Bathory can do that. Like she can
Yeah.
go between the game and real life because she's like a
I don't know
demon
how they're gonna
spirit.
explain what happened here to the police and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's like there's nothing. It just looks like they burned down a graveyard. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You know, it's like, are you on drugs?
well, that's a problem with a lot of horror movies
Yeah,
that are
true.
supernaturally based. It's like just the people are all right in the end, and there's no problems
Yep.
because everyone believed them all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I felt at the end of Mama. Spoiler alert if you ever recommend that. Like you're kind of left at the end of the movie like, what next? How the character's just gonna get out of this one? And then it just ends.
Yeah, this movie definitely has that issue. Yeah, that's all I have. I can go into the rating.
Yeah, go on. Do it.
I don't know what to give this one.
This is hard. It's a hard one.
Like, okay, my rating right now is going to be based purely on my enjoyment of this movie.
I already have a number in my head, so if it's the same, I'm gonna be so mad because we have the same.
Personally, I'm not saying this movie's quality equals this, but for me personally, this movie is a 9 out of 10. Like
Oh, yeah,
I have
we're way off. Okay.
okay, good. Like it's not a fantastic movie, but it's so much fun, and this movie really was like this and The Exorcist were kind of a gateway into horror for me. These were probably this and The Exorcist were probably the first two horror
And then I
movies I ever saw.
resurrected it when I showed you Insidious at my house.
Yeah, you did like this because I was always like a scaredy cat with these movies, and this movie was the perfect like because it's not really that scary.
Yeah.
It's just kind of
It's fun.
it's just fun, and
Yeah.
it combined like I always liked video games, and this movie had video games, and it had like the Elizabeth Bathory connection that I liked, so I was into it, and now I get more into it as time goes on because now I like horror and I can appreciate like the horror and the horror video game aspect of it more than I could before. So this movie just like I watched it like once a year for like the last decade, and it never really gets old for me. So it's 9 out of 10 for pure enjoyment for me.
So for me, I'm gonna. This one is hard. Like I said, it's hard for me to rate. I think it's gonna age like fine wine, and I think it's gonna increase over time. I'm gonna give it a 6 because for me, I enjoyed it more than the average movie. I don't have nostalgia for it like you do, but I would say like if I watched 100 movies in 30 days, let's say, I think this one would be farther from the top than number 50. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. And say it might actually go up for me over time if my bias like gets deeper and deeper for it. But just from a one time viewing, I enjoyed it enough to give it above average, like 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's not bad. And you said you would watch it again, like it's a movie you would watch again.
Yeah, and that's why I
Like,
said it might rank up over time. So it might become a 9 one day for me too. It's one of my out of all the movies we've rated for this podcast. It's one of my least sure ones. Like I'm not sure that's where it is in my head. It's hard
Right.
for me. Like I said, it's hard on this one because I'm trying to separate. I'm not trying to separate it. I have my feelings about the quality of the movie, and I also have my feelings about my personal enjoyment of the movie, and I'm trying to like balance those. And I think that's why for me it's so hard because I'm like, it's a cheesy movie. It doesn't have like particularly good CGI or particularly good, but I enjoy it. So it's like,
yes.
this is our podcast. It's not like we're trying to be objective. It's like this is our opinion. So
Right.
that's my opinion, not a fact. Like, I'm not rating the technical filmmaking when I give it that score, or at least with this movie, I'm not.
And yes, listeners, I rank Stay Alive at the same level as The Shining. So
Oh,
please
Lord.
dislike this video.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If they're doing the thing I said earlier, that's where it's gonna land right now. We always have meta like commentary about the like and the dislike of the videos.
And the ad revenue and all that stuff.
Yeah, even though we get no ads and nothing like that.
What about Shine VPN? I mean, that's
Yeah.
a pretty big deal, man.
Yeah,
Everyone's
that's
got
true,
yeah.
dude. It took me a long time of courting them to close them. So thanks, guys. I know Jake joked about getting that game as a sponsor, but we don't want you guys to feel like we're just joking around. Shine
Yeah,
VPN.
like Shine VPN is fantastic. Everyone needs a VPN, but the Nightmare VCR board game from the mid '90s is god tier. Like, there's no way we're gonna get that.
Yeah.
But we can dream.
Yeah. I hope that nobody actually thinks that it's real now because of that meta thing. But,
I didn't give them a URL, so they can't go anywhere to put in our promo code or anything.
Yeah, I know, but anyways, you never know with people.
We're gonna get sued.
Yeah, what if there's one out there and we just claim that they sponsored us? No!
I didn't look that up, but
No, we're joking. Don't sue us, please. Okay.
I mean, I said Shine VPN was amazing, so
Yeah, I mean that's like free ad dollary dues.
there's VPN Shine, but it's a Google app.
No,
It's not the same.
cool.
Okay, just to clarify, that wasn't a real ad. I think everyone understood that,
Yeah.
but
We got
you
those. We're gonna keep those rolling. Live awkward ads. All right, so this is the section of the podcast. It's one of my favorite parts. We talk about other horror things that we've seen or done throughout the month, and we also just wrap it up. So, Jake, did you watch anything or see anything outside of podcast recommendations that you thought was interesting, horror-wise?
well, one big thing that I haven't talked to you about is yesterday I got to do 2 haunted houses at Universal because they're not doing Horror Nights this year, but they opened 2 houses for just like to test to see if they could handle the capacity and stuff, and to give people like some Halloween stuff. And they were good. I was expecting them to be like super understaffed just because of COVID and all of
Yeah.
that stuff, but like like it seems like there was this like the same amount of actors in it that there would be normally.
Are you
They
allowed to
had
talk
like
about the details of the house? It's,
yeah,
it's not NDA or
I mean
anything.
it's like public knowledge and stuff. It's
Okay.
just like it was like a test weekend. Um, so like I don't know if they're gonna do any more days. Like right now, today was the last day, but we'll see how it goes. It was very popular,
Right.
definitely. It was very busy yesterday, but like the actors, like there was a good amount of actors, but there was like plexiglass in between them and the guests, so it was very safe, or it felt very safe walking through. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It obviously wasn't Halloween Horror Nights level, but it was a nice like
Wow.
when I smelled that fog, and
Oh yeah.
I got
Man.
a lot of primal memories when
God.
I
You're making me
when
want
I
to
went through.
cry. You're making me want to cry, man. I
And
man,
I
I
did get to do
missed doing that this year.
I did get to do our tradition of I had two drinks and then I went through the house and went yes and clapped every time they jumped out. So I kept that spirit alive at least.
Thanks. Thanks. So they had the guests like stay 6 feet apart as they're walking through.
Yeah, they were like you go in. It's not like pulsed, but there's like markers and like your group. Like there's people at the beginning of every room that stop you if there's other people in the room,
Mm.
and then you go through the room. So it didn't really detract from it. It was just kind of like if there's the people in front of you were slow, you stop for a second. It's like normal. Like that happens a lot at Horror Nights anyway. Like where you like the people in front of you just stop and you have to just wait.
This is so interesting. Okay. Well, I hate you for getting to do that. I will
But
not be coming this year, which sucks, but
it was a lot of fun, and I mean, I hope they bring the houses back next year.
yeah.
Like I hope they keep. It was the Bride of Frankenstein and the Revenge of the Tooth Fairy. I hope they keep both of those for next year because they were both fantastic.
Yeah. Well, one thing is like maybe they gotta start from the roots of the core horror audience again, and they'll make a super good year like year 25. Because I feel like that Horror Nights in the last couple years that we went was definitely a more mainstream event, and like it was way less scary. Like year 25, the characters were aggressive. The people who were playing the actors were really aggressive, and it was really nice. I liked it. Um, and I just haven't felt that way since. And I know we've had this conversation where you think it was because our first year. I don't think so. I think if I did them all one like through a time traveling machine, one day after the other, I think 25 would still be clearly better than the other years.
I I still think it's the best year we've done, but I also think it's hard to judge other years that come after 25 because that was our first year,
Yeah.
and
I haven't seen anything like the swamp monsters in the scare zones, like of that. Like, well, I haven't seen that amount of fog to where it's like, even though it's outdoors, you literally could lose your group because it's like so foggy. Like, must have been
yeah.
so expensive to make it that foggy outdoors. You had like these really extended houses, you had like really scary houses, and now I feel like that there's almost this like teenage audience that goes because that's why they have like the Stranger Things and the American Horror Story, and they've really just sort of made it into like a casual horror event. I think, and it really makes me crave the the 25 experience. This is my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bride of Frank. I know you weren't a huge fan of the Monsters House from last year, but
Yeah.
the Bride House, I love the Monsters House
Mm.
from last year, and the Bride House was a good follow up, and it scratched that classic monster itch
Yeah.
for me.
Wasn't the what was the really good IP house from last year? Mm.
It wasn't Poltergeist, that was 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, Poltergeist. That was like the
I don't
best.
remember.
That
We
house was so good though. Poltergeist was amazing.
yeah, we've reached the point, at least for me, where like I can't remember what year anything was. I
Mm-hmm.
really can't.
Yeah. We went so many times and been through so many houses. We're veterans. Yeah. And people
Yeah,
who
the
have been
first
since
three
like
years.
year one are like, yeah, right. Because we're going like 4 years.
Yeah, the first 3 years we went, I could have told you like the location of every house, like off the
Yeah.
top of my head. Now I can't even tell you what year anything was.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the worst year of the all of them was 26. So you had the best and then the worst, and then it was kind of rising after
See,
that. It might have just been because of chance that year, because that year you did have like Krampus and like some cool iconic things that I remember.
Halloween 2, the Texas
Eh,
Chainsaw House.
eh,
Like I thought the houses for 26 were fantastic. The overall like they didn't I don't think they did very well with Chance as an icon. I think she
my,
could have been a good icon. They
hmm
just didn't use her that well.
my biggest disappointment house of all time was the Trick or Treat house. I expected
Yeah,
so much out of that house. That worked way better as a scare zone.
it did.
I thought that they were going to try to make the house into an anthology house and really put effort into tying the rooms together in like a way where you felt like you just walked through an anthology, but they didn't do it. They just cut out some of it, kept some of it. I didn't like it. I didn't like the decisions that they made of what to keep and what to not, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I thought that one was average. Like it wasn't my favorite, but I don't think it was bad.
I
But
think
yeah,
my
to your
hype was too high for that house. That's the problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely was not like Poltergeist level where they were like, all
Yeah.
right, we're gonna take this and turn it up to 11. They were just like, here's the movie, but
Yeah.
without some stuff.
Yeah. And normally the biggest IP houses are the ones that they water down the most because those are the ones that like the casual people go through. They're like, oh, this is the Stranger Things house or the American Horror Story house, and it's gonna be a
Yeah.
little bit spook, but not really.
But those houses are still good. Anyway, we're digressing.
Way, yeah. Okay, so
Vi-
that's what you got to do. Well, it's because I can't believe you've kept this from me this whole time, just to reveal it during the podcast. So good job on that.
Well, it was just yesterday. Like,
Oh, okay. I thought
so
like you just did that this month. So my bad.
no, it was literally yesterday.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, that's a little bit better. I was like, man, why didn't you tell me about this? This is interesting. Um, yeah. So for me, my horror sort of highlight of the month is on the way is my Oculus Quest 2, and I'm excited to do some new horror experiences in that. I'm moving from a CV1 from Rift to a new VR experience. There's one that's actually about to come out called Phantasmophobia or something like that, and it's like a four-player VR co-op game where you're all like ghost hunters. So it's like basically like a grave encounter type game, and so you split up within the house, and you got like a flashlight, and stuff happens, and you communicate to each other via walkie-talkies. So you're in there with your friends, and you're like talking to each other about what you're seeing in different parts of the house, like you're real ghost hunters, and you're like shining lights and going around. So like I think that would be incredible, but I'll probably be playing it by myself. And I'm excited to do the VR chat because they have a 5 hour horror, like basically horror maze, horror house. That I talked about that last month, but I'm excited to do that on the Quest too. So yeah, my horror, like always during the pandemic, is central to VR because like what else? It's
Yeah.
like it's not like I'm going to be going to houses this year, so that's probably going to be every week, every month when you guys hear it. It's probably going to be around VR because that's what I do.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I don't think I saw any horror shows. I want to see. I want to see that Shudder movie. This isn't my recommendation, but there's a Shudder movie called Host, and it's 50 minutes. It's a 50-minute long movie, and it's
I
like a
heard that
Zoom
one was
call.
good.
Yeah, it kind of went a little viral, which is cool because Shudder doesn't get a lot of good representation. If you guys are listening to this podcast and you've made it this far, you're probably a good candidate for Shudder. I subscribe to it. It's not sponsored by it.
I do as
But
well.
nice. So yeah, they got some
We
interesting curated horror content that you've never heard
we
of.
would love to be sponsored by Shudder, and we have done. We did do the Shudder exclusive movie that you recommended. You Might Be the Killer, like way back
Oh
in
yeah,
one of the
dude.
first episodes.
I
So
think that was episode 1. First episode, I think.
yeah, was that the lost episode that we never actually
No, I
recorded?
think I
Okay.
think that's the first published episode.
Okay. So yeah, if you're new and you like Shudder, go check out our discussion of that because I
Yeah,
think it was a good one.
go back and binge listen to all of our podcasts and after the first one. The first one is still like the most highly edited one because I wasn't lazy yet. So that one's like the most tightly edited of all of them, in my opinion. It's not that tight though, but I'm just saying. I cut a lot of stuff out. I usually
It's
don't trim the
definitely
fat as
tighter.
much.
It's tighter than this live rambling that we're doing right now.
Yes, yes. So if you guys are
Which
noticing that, that's why, because it's all live. I'm not editing it anymore. Just fuck it. I'm
speaking of
tired of it.
speaking of which, we kind of fucked up the format. We were supposed to do recommendations before we rambled about random
No,
stuff.
we do recommendations at the end right before your shirts. See, Tasha's not here to direct us. That's why you don't know.
I swear we did
Nope.
recommendations before the.
Nope.
Okay, never mind.
Nope.
All right,
You wrong. I right.
disregard.
Yeah, we always do the have you seen anything this month and then Rex and then your shirts. But I feel like you don't want to do your shirts anymore because it's like you're kind of on hiatus from that. So we don't even have to do that in the end if you don't want to.
Yeah. Like I've said it before. They're still up if anybody's interested. JakensteinApparel.com. I haven't been doing new designs, and I don't know if
I like
or
your
when I will.
designs that you have, but I wish you would do some new ones. But I get it. Like I'm not going to peer
Yeah,
push you into it.
I
I buy
don't
your
have
shirts
any.
though.
I don't have any inspiration, or like I don't have like I haven't had an idea for a shirt that I'm like, oh yeah, that's funny, right? Like I like that. So
Yeah.
I just
You don't want to
I
just
wouldn't.
crank them out for no reason. Like you want to like be like, I want to make that, and then go make it.
Yeah,
I get
I
it.
need a spark. I need a muse, and I don't have one currently for shirts at least. And it's like
I want a niche like Grave Encounters S shirt, like a Ghost Hunter shirt. That'd be cool.
I can do that. Yeah, it's well, and it's also like, the, especially during quarantine, the last thing I want to do when I'm done with my day job is like open the computer back up and like get back into design programs and stuff. I'm
Yeah,
like, you know,
because you're doing satisfying work, but it's like you're like burnt out by the time you get home. That's what I'm doing. Like I'm not
yeah,
doing a whole lot of like extra web stuff, even though I love web development because I do enough at work
yeah.
to
It's like
satisfy that creative itch.
you love what you do, but you also like you can't do it 24/7. That just is you're
Yeah,
gonna burn out real quick.
yeah. So
Lesson for any young designer, developer, whatever
yeah, and guys,
coming up.
if you have like design questions or web dev questions, put those down in there. We'll try to answer them.
Yeah,
But
we can.
we'll get
If that's the
Josh if
content
it's
you
too
want,
good of a
well,
web dev question, because I'm trash, right? Like, so if it's too advanced of a web dev question, I'll pull in Josh from the grave. I'll like draw a pentagram and I'll have him answer it because he's a master.
yeah, I'm like the beginner level coder. Like I know HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript. Mike's like level 5, and then Josh is like level 5.5 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. I think Josh is more like 6 or 7, but yeah. So if you like this, like it. We're gonna do our recommendations now. So change that dislike to like, or turn off the podcast because you don't get to listen to the recommendations if you didn't like the video.
Yep, you have to like the video to hear the recommendations. It's part of YouTube's new algorithm.
Yeah, yeah. If you listen to it anyways, then the ghost from the what's it called movie?
Brave Encounters?
No, the Stay Alive movie. The ghost from Stay Alive because you're gonna die in
Elizabeth
real life.
Bathory.
Yeah, right. You're gonna die in real life if you didn't like the video before this part. Anyways, okay, too long of a joke. So the theme for October, the two missing people. I'm doing the recommendations for them. So that way, if they come back, then that's fine. We're gonna do It Chapter 1 and 2, the new ones. And then we're going to do my recommendation, and I don't know what Jake's is. So It 1 and 2, and then my recommendation is Evil Dead 2013.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Evil Dead 2, and I was going to be very happy. But I actually haven't seen the 2013 one, so
I know.
That'll be good.
So real quick, guys, please, 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 after this podcast ends, watch the trailer for the 2013 remake. In my opinion, it's my favorite horror trailer. This is not my favorite horror movie out there. I like it, but it's not my favorite one. But the trailer is amazing. I love it. I still watch it sometimes. Like if I want to be inspired to make something on a weekend, I'll watch the trailer. I think it's one of the most tightly edited. Like it's got the cool sound effects. It's just amazing. I love it. It's got great typography. they really cared about that trailer, and it's awesome. So
Yeah, we're only reviewing the trailer in next month's episode.
I'll
Not the whole
probably
movie.
mention how much I like it in like a month because I'll forget that I rambled on about how much I probably did in another episode. I think I remember saying exactly what I just said in another episode about that trailer. So
Probably.
yeah. So go ahead. Just embarrass me. It's fine.
No, sorry, I'm an asshole. But so I'm gonna do a Halloween themed one. Last year, my Halloween themed pick was Pumpkinhead, and that was not Halloweeny at all, despite the name. So I'm gonna pick what I should have picked as my rec for last Halloween, and that's Hellfest. It's
Okay.
like the haunted house theme park movie, and since we can't do Halloween Horror Nights this year, it'll be nice to live vicariously through that movie again.
Cool. That's a good one. I thought about doing like a haunted house movie, but I'm glad we only have one because I was thinking about doing that one found footage one. The house is October built. I was thinking about doing
Yeah.
that one, but I decided to go like I actually think Evil Dead 2013 is a fairly actually like scary movie, and I wanted to like bring the viewers some scares for Halloween. But I'm glad
I
that you have an actual Halloween movie in the mix.
I'm just gonna have fun.
Yeah.
My movie's all about having fun and
Yep.
drinking. That's what I'm bringing to the audience
Yeah.
next
No,
month.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I want to talk to you about it. I don't want to tell you my thoughts and spoil it, but I'm excited to talk to you about it. Um, so yeah.
Me too.
So guys, thanks for tuning in to the very first live episode. Let me know if you miss the title cards. And I'll try to like prepare them for last time. If anybody actually cares, I think most people that listen to it, they listen to it in a tab anyways, and it was kind of like a waste of like a lot of time to edit them in like that. But tell me, and I'll put forth the effort in the next show if it's like a big deal to one of you guys. So, all right, have a nice day, everyone.
Bye.